B'rshut Rabbanim, with the permission of the rabbis, I'm going to share with you a dialogue that happened a couple of days ago. I'd say, I don't remember exactly, but this more or less was a dialogue between my almost 3 years old son and myself. So the question was, why are you leaving the house? David, my son, asked me. Because I have to work. Why? Because I am a rabbi. Why? Because I studied and I wanted to be a rabbi. Why? Because that's what I love doing. Why? Goodbye, son. I'm going to be late to work. Why? Okay, why? That is the question. Why? Probably all other questions in the Torah has been answered. The first question in the Torah is Ayeka. God asked Adam, where are you? And Adam had an answer. Then God asked Cain, where is your brother? And there was an answer, not a good one, but still an answer. Why did you steal my cup? We read a couple of weeks ago. Joseph asked his brothers, and the cup was found in the bag of Benjamin. Why do you sit alone and judge the people? Yitro asked Moses, and then we will see that Moses will appoint judges. But there is a particular why that lacks an answer. There is one why that has no answer. And I'm going to quote Abraham Joshua Heschel in his book, God in Search of Man. It says, I'm quoting, the startling moment occurred. God appeared to Moses in a flame of fire out of the bush. And he looked, and lo, the bush was burning, and yet it was not consumed. That's the text in Deuteronomy 3:2. In the face of the startling fact, Moses said, I will turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned. The question why was never answered. This is that's the end of the quotation. This is one of the most beautiful passages of the Torah, and yet the question has no answer. Why? And today, I don't want to try to explain the physics of ignition, fire, and combustion, mainly because I have no idea how this works, but I will try to learn something with you about this passage. First, about Moses. There is a huge debate between the medieval commentators of the Torah. The debate is about the following. Was Moses a prophet from birth or not? Even Ezra, Rashbam, and Rabbeinu Bechaye agree that Moses was not a prophet. And this passage in the Torah is like an intense revelation training. In few minutes, Moses sees the bush, the angel or the messenger, and the messenger speaks to Moses, and finally, God speaks directly to Moses. This goes in line with many midrashim that connect Moses and the bush. Moses was a simple human being, and therefore the revelation took place in a small bush, not in a huge, big tree with a great voice, but in a small, humble bush. On the other hand, Nachmanides, as expected, and Joseph Albo and others will not tolerate and will not accept that Moses was not a prophet from the very beginning. So whether Moses was a prophet from birth or not, there is something in the story that needs to be singled out. Shepherds usually do not go alone. They go out in groups. And we see that in many times that the shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Abraham did not get along. It's not just one shepherd alone. So probably Moses was with other shepherds in the desert. And if the burning bush was burning and it was not consumed, the fire must have been burning for a long time. Whether Moses was a prophet or not, he is the only one who decides to approach and see. The bush might have been burning for days maybe, but nobody took the time to stop and look. Nobody was able to leave their routine and take a minute to observe. And this is the first thing I wanted to remark today. I hope I will return to this first part later. The second thing I wanted to learn together is about the word sneh, bush. In Hebrew, sneh is the word that the Torah uses for the word bush in English. So here is a little bit of a trivia. Everybody can participate. The prize is a box of matzah for Pesach. So, how many more times the word sneh appears in the whole Bible? Bush, sneh in Hebrew. How many more times, besides this story in the book of Exodus, appears in the Bible? Guesses are welcome too, if you don't know the answer. We have Ben who says 0. You owe me a box of matzah, Ben. That's not correct, so you owe me a box of matzah. I didn't say that part of the deal, but anyway, that's the deal. Okay, anybody else? Reese says 1 more. And Reese, Ben, you owe her a box of matzah. Because the answer is only 1 more time. And I invite you, yes. Yes. The word that is sbach, not sneh. Yes, it's a bush, it's a small bush. In English, that may be used the same word, but the word that is used in the Akedah, when Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, he says a ram that he got caught in a sbach, not a sneh. So the sneh, the word sneh, this little bush, this specific little bush, appears only 1 more time, and I would like to invite you to open our Chumashim on page 1205, 1205, to learn a little bit more about this. In the whole Bible, only 1 more time the word sneh appears. But if you don't trust me, trust me. Okay, so verse 13. This is the final portion of the Torah. Bezot Abraha, the blessing that Moses gives to the tribe of Joseph. On verse 13, do I have a volunteer to read it in English very loud? Yes, who's going to volunteer? Yes, please. Your name is?
Harold.
Harold, please. Verse 13.
And of Joseph he said, Blessed of the Lord be his land, with the bounty of dew from heaven, and of the deep that couches below, with the bounteous yield of the sun, and the bounteous crop of the moon, with the best from the ancient mountains.
And the bounty, next page.
Okay. And the bounty of hills immemorial, with the bounty of earth in its fullness, and the favor of presence in the bush, may these rest on the head of Joseph, when the crowns of the elect of his brothers.
Thank you. That's very good enough. So it says, all the splendor, all the magnificence, all the majesty belongs to the one who reveals in a small sneh, in a little tree. The moon, the earth, the mountains are huge, but the blessing, the true blessing, is found in small things of life. Moses, in the last parsha of the Torah, in his final speech, gives a blessing to each tribe, and to the tribe of Israel's favorite son, he says, no matter how big the wonder you have in front of you, the blessing rests in the smallest things. Holding your spouse's hand, smelling good coffee, taking a hot shower in the middle of the winter, laughing with friends. In the small things we find the presence of God. In the words of Abraham Joshua Heschel again, how indeed it is possible for the world to bear the divine. Perhaps this is the meaning of the burning bush. A new element was brought into being, fire that burns but does not consume. It indicated a new order in God's relation to man, namely that to reveal, God must conceal, that to impart God's wisdom, God must hide his power. It made revelation possible. So now let me get back to the first part where I left. The bush might have been burning for days, maybe, but nobody took the time to stop. Nobody was able to leave the routine and take a time to observe. This passage of few verses of the Torah teaches, among other things, that if we want to discover the blessings, if we want to be part of that search, we need to stop stop and see that there are blessings all over, and we rush too much that we cannot appreciate them. This passage of few verses of the Torah teaches, among other things, that the question why remains unanswered, and it's better to ask, what am I going to do with the burning bushes that we miss every day? This little passage teaches us that in order to see the blessings, we need to stop, open the eyes, approach to the small things that really make the differences in our lives. Shabbat Shalom umeborach.